Alright, we're paired. Gall. Gall. This is a nice hand. I always like having Spell Snare on the draw and mana to cast it at that. So that's nice. And then even better, we've got a Thought Scour as a backup. One fewer land and one other like playable card would be good, but I think this is about as good as it's gonna get. Now, like I said, I was a little concerned about the commands in this deck. Cryptic is a little intense for a mana base that is 3 colors in Modern. However, there are no spells in this deck that are double black or double red in the main deck. There are some on the side, obviously, with like Anger. So as long as I've got one red source and one black source represented, I should be okay. Now, if there's a turn where I want to play like a Tasigur and something else, like a Terminate or a Kolaghan's Command, I might need access to 2 black spells. But that's when I'm on like 5, 6 mana anyway. So in the early turns, I want to represent 3 blue sources, 1 red and 1 black in some way, shape, or form. This opening hand has exactly that, plus an extra red source. But with that, that makes cards like Field of Ruin a little tough to play. I think they're kind of a necessary evil. Tron is just such a bad matchup for these decks. We've got to have access to something to slow them down, at least for a little bit, and then hopefully we can burn them out with like Snap, Bolt, Tasigur, things like that. Because there's really not a whole lot we've got against them. I did play against a Tron opponent and had a really good battle that went something like that. It was like I had like 1 Field of Ruin to slow him down, and the game was going very long for a Tron match. Brought my opponent down to just a few life, and managed to just about. I was ready to kill him in the next turn, and he plays, off the top the 3rd Tron land he needs, and then Ulamogs me to death. So that was unfortunate. Looks like we're up against Scapeshift, which is makes me happy to have the Spell Snare because I can at least slow him down here a little bit. Oh, it's Bring to Light Scapeshift, probably. But yeah, I think we want to get this guy. Now, these decks do play like Snapcaster Mage. Oh, goodness. Of course, I'm going to draw more lands off of that. Let's try this. And then hopefully we can find a Tasigur. That would be the ideal situation, but it's probably going to be another land. I guess the good news is we've got a K Command, which when we have a hand that's just flooded with mana, K Command is a pretty good thing to be looking at because we could find a creature and play a creature with it, but of course there's no creature. So let's go with this one. Logic Knot's a pretty nice thing to be looking at, though. I think Bring to Light Scapeshift is probably in a decent place. Once again, it's a deck that leans pretty heavily on Anger of the Gods. I think Anger of the Gods is really good. Scapeshift is just generally a decent deck in that it's got outs to a lot of things packed in, but also can be dealt with pretty easily by a few. I've never played it. I honestly don't know what the worst case scenario is for it. So here's what I'm gonna do now. We'll go after one of the cards in his hand because he's down to 2, and we could force the crack of one of those Sakura tribes. I think we want to just do 2 damage to him. Hopefully that matters. It might not, but the fact that he's setting up with all this mana and he's got 2 cards in his hand, there's a good chance that he's got, okay, Supreme Verdict. It's probably going to be relevant, especially if this happens. Yeah, Tasigur. Now this is tricky because I don't want to exile too many cards from my graveyard. I do need to get rid of 4 of them, but I want to keep my Logic Knot mana up. So 1, 2, 3, and Fatal Push isn't going to do me much good here. So I can Logic Knot for 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got 6 mana. If that last card is a Bring to Light, I can counter it. But apparently that's not going to be a factor because he did not sack the Sakura Tribe Elders, and those lands come into play tapped, I do believe. Yes. Now, these decks play Wargate these days because you can Wargate for a Valakut, and it's just a 3-mana Farseek that puts any land into play, which is kind of clever because in a game like this, just naturally drawing mountains and playing mountains is pretty strong. So I've got to be prepared for the Wargate, of course. This Bolt is very likely going to be going to the Dome. Maybe I ought to do that now just to get it in my graveyard. So I don't think there are any creatures I really have to be concerned about. And killing those Sakura Tribe Elders might equate to 4 damage, but I also could just draw stuff like this to deal with them. Maybe that was unnecessary right then and there. But I certainly don't want him to be saving them to activate and find mountains when he's got Valakut online or close to it. Looks like he grabbed an island with it, so he's got Cryptic Command mana. I suppose he did beforehand. I'm not sure why he would need that island again, but he's got it. Alright, so we're going to shock in this Watery Grave. Very likely going to be getting back a Fatal Push with our Tasigur at the end of our opponent's next turn. But alternatively, we do have some extra mana for Logic Knot. Ooh, nice. Nice plains, nice island. Is there any reason we don't want to do this now? I think Wargate is a sorcery, but I may find out that I'm completely wrong on that. Yeah, you gotta get through that push. That's the that was the reason I shouldn't have played it, I suppose. More lands. Well, Tasker does help that situation a little bit. He's thinking about blocking. Just kidding. I don't know what he could do with in this deck. I really don't know the list very well. It could pretty much play anything given that it's 4 colors, but there's likely some number of Path to Exile in there, right? If that happens, I think I just have to let him path my dude. I can't afford to get rid of this Logic Knot at this point in the game, especially with what I've got. But I will activate my Tasigur then to grab that Spell Snare back very likely, or Lightning Bolt even. Don't expect him to give me Kolaghan's command. Okay, now. I guess in the meantime, while we're waiting for this, I'll be doing some research. I'm going to look up Wargate's, it's the card type here. We should know that. Now, I do believe it is Bant X. It is a sorcery, yep. It says search your library for a permanent card with converted mana cost X or less and put it onto the battlefield. So there are a few other things he could grab with it. Let's see if I can pull up a deck list on my phone here, so that we can know what possibilities there are for Wargate and Bring to Light. Both of them are kind of fancy little tutors for this type of deck. I know that he doesn't have a lot of permanents. He can do like a Snapcaster Mage with the Wargate. That's a very expensive flashback on one of his cards in his graveyard. He could, I think there's Search for Azcanta in the deck. I may be wrong. Let's see here. View recent events. I have to dig for one because these are not extremely common. Titan Shift, Teamer Scapeshift. Alright, I think this is considered Wargate Scapeshift. Yes, it is. Okay, so it's actually Bant Scapeshift. Alright, so for permanents, Prismatic Omen is really the only one. Prismatic Omen, Sakura Tribe Elder. Bring to Light can get one. There's 1 Supreme Verdict in the main, 3 Scapeshift, 4 Cryptic, and a bunch of land ramp stuff. There's some remans in the deck. I don't see many outs for him at this point, honestly, because there actually are no Path to Exiles in the deck. This deck is pretty lean here. 29 lands. Sideboard potential. Now we could be looking at Dispels, Grafdigger's Cage, Lone Missionary, Rest in Peace. There's one of in this sideboard. I suppose there are virtual 9 copies of it with the War Gates and things. Crumble the Dust, Obstinate Baloth, Shatterstorm, Baneslayer Angel. Baneslayer Angel would be a pain. I'm going to have to keep my Terminates around for that guy. That thing could run all over me. Looking at a different list, Slaughter Games, that's interesting. Obstinate Baloth, Shatterstorm, Crumble the Dust, Anger the Gods, Rest in Peace once again. Lone Missionary. So Lone Missionary must be there just for a 5 mana 4 life gain. That seems really bad, but sometimes you gotta do it. Damping Sphere, Grafdigger's Cage, and Tormod's Crypt. So I wonder if he'd bring in Grafdigger's Cage against me, against my Snapcaster Mages. That card is so weird. It definitely is really good in the right situations, but I'm certainly not terrified of it in this matchup whatsoever. Yes, it shuts down Snapcaster, but having an Ambush Viper against Scapeshift might just be what I need anyway. Now, I'd like to pair a little Bolt alongside that in some cases, but I can do without it. All right, Gaul. MTGO has been very slow lately. I don't know if you guys are experiencing the same thing, but I had a couple of games that just completely crashed on me. So I got reimbursed for it. I would recommend always entering for reimbursement because they will do it every time. It's just ones and zeros to them. And every game is $2. That stuff adds up. I'm not screwing around with my MTG points because eventually I'll be buying back in when I run out. And that means the man wins. I won't let it happen. Alright, cool. Finally, taking the damage. Alright, so we're going to play this Polluted Delta. Just so we have another card in the graveyard. He's got a ton of mana over there. And there's a possibility that I'm going to want to Logic Knot for a lot. And I don't want to have to get rid of these valuable graveyard cards. Now the question is, if he casts a 2-mana spell right now, do I Tasigur and try to get that Spell Snare back? Alright, Wargate. And that's X equals 0. So he's going to get the Valakut with that. He's got 1, 2, 3 mountains on the battlefield. Honestly, I'm okay with that. Because he's probably baiting me to counter that because he's got Scapeshift mana untapped. Alright, and there's the end of the turn. So, let's do this. Get an island. And 3, 4. Honestly, getting that Thought Scour back wouldn't be so bad right now. I might Thought Scour him? I think I do. If I Thought Scour him, there's a chance I could get another Valakut in the yard. I know that 1 doesn't make a big difference. Okay, I got the snare. Alright. Ugh. Terminate. So many dead cards here. Alright, we'll go for an attack. I wish this represented a 2-turn clock, but this is no common fish. At this point, I think Scapeshift is just a one-shot, so I'm not terribly concerned about taking one to the dome. Now, hopefully he doesn't have 2 Scapeshift in his hand. That means trouble. Don't remember that deck having any removal. Did I read any removal off? No, not really. Supreme Verdict, the 1 in the main. Let's see if any of these other decks are running more than 1 in the main. No, just one. Yeah, so Remand is the thing I've got to really be watching out for. If there's just one Scapeshift floating around in his hand, I do have enough mana to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Logic Knot, Remand, Logic Knot. So I'm not too concerned about that. Let's go for another activation here. Kind of glad he gave me that Spell Snare. I think that may have been a mistake. I mean, if he plays a Prismatic Omen, I'm going to counter it. Alright, now here's where we do this to him. Ugh, another land. Wonderful. Alright, there's a bolt. That should do it. Okay. Honestly, there are very few instants in this deck, with the exception of Remand, so not much that can be done on our turn. Okay. No, I suppose, like I said, I guess there's Cryptic. Okay, so we will Cryptic that then. Let's put this in our yard. 2, 3, 4. And if he does Remand, we've got the Spell Snare for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get rid of the stuff that we don't want to be drawing. 2, 3, 4. Now, if there are 2 other blue sources among these 4 lands, I'd be worried a little bit of a second Cryptic, which would likely win the game for him, especially if he's going to be drawing 2 cards and then untapping with the ability to Scapeshift me to death. So, fortunately, that didn't happen. I think we want the Disdainful Stroke. Dispel seems pretty good. Obviously, it's good against the counters or the counter spells in his deck, but that's where that ends, and I don't think that we really want that here. Young Pyromancer might be a good clock for him, though. Like I said, we've got to keep the Terminates in because Baneslayer Angel is pretty evil to us, and we certainly don't want to be losing to that. Kolaghan's command might be the thing that gets cut because there really aren't any targets for the artifact. The 2 damage is pretty irrelevant, and the discard is really the best thing for us. We're not terribly concerned about that. Engineered Explosives gets rid of the Prismatic Omens, and I think that's pretty relevant because Prismatic Omen is likely the way that he's going to be winning if I can keep tabs on the Scapeshift plan. Very likely we're going to be missing our graveyard at some point in these next 2 games, so Logic Knot gets a little weaker. Yeah, I really don't like having these in my deck, but I have to. I could potentially cut a Terminate or Dreadbore, but I think I'd miss it. Maybe one Dispel, Dispel in the mix at some point here is good. Probably over a Fatal Push. Yeah, maybe maybe I cut both Fatal Pushes. I don't think that I'm too worried about those Sakura Tribe Elders. Of course, Obstinate Baloth is a thing that I have to worry about. That's where the Terminates come in. Okay, this looks good. We're going to try it. Alright, do they have other Supremes that they bring in from the side? No, not that I can see. Ugh, this hand is challenging. I think we keep it though. We've got a draw spell, we've got 2 lands, we can play the Young Pyromancer. There's plenty of stuff to do, we just need to find a second land, and we had no problem doing that in the last game. But it's pretty aggressive, so we're gonna have to really go onto the beat initiative here. Okay, so there's a Thought Scour. That's good. I think well, No, let's get that Pyromancer into play first. That's what we're going to do. We're going to Thought Scour later. I can at least bluff like I've got another Spell Snare like I did the last game. Not that that will stop him. I mean, if he's got a Farseek, he's going to play it no matter what. But it might change the order of the 2 drops he plays. I don't know if like you would put more stock into Farseek over Sakura Tribe Elder at this point, but that may affect those decisions. Probably not terribly much. Where's this forest from? Is that a Guru forest? It's really hard to see that art with the foil. Alright, Prairie Stream. So I think we want to get... Well, do we want black-red here? Yeah, I think so. Blood Crypt. I may be wrong. Like I said, you got to represent double blue. But this allows us to fetch more basics with our other fetch lands that we're going to see. Okay, that's pretty good. Oh, I didn't even see that. MTGO and the Suspend and the Dredge is really miserable. Now, granted, I should have been paying attention to the fact that he had a search for tomorrow suspended because of the fact that a land was tapped for no reason. But when your opponent is like dredging cards out of their graveyard, it's really hard to tell what they are unless you go into the game log and like dig through all of the text. There should be something that tells you that that's happening on your screen, even though you can't react to it. Be nice to know. Okay, there's the Prismatic Omen. That's trouble. And rest in peace. Ow, double trouble. This Tasigur is not going to see the light of the day anytime soon. Oh! Ah! We can't really do it right now, though. That's the problem. I think we have to. I think we have to play it. We risk death next turn. But we do anyway. That's the thing. So it's like, we gotta go for it. Alright. Getting in for 2. I really wish this was not a Field of Ruin. Of course it is. Now, the benefit here is I haven't taken much damage myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But yeah, Scapeshift means I'm dead no matter what. Because he can get 4 Valakuts if he has them. I think he can only play 3. Yeah, this one's over. Oh, he doesn't have 2 green. All right, he's got a... Oh, yeah, he does. He's got all the mana he wants. Prismatic Omen. Okay. Well, that was short-lived. We'll let him do it. I want to see what he does with this situation. Not that it changes a whole lot, but, like, how many Valakuts does this deck play? That's what I want to know. Probably the full 4. I wouldn't imagine that we see all 4 of them here, but... It's good to keep tabs on that stuff. Even best case scenario with this Thought Scour, if I Thought Scoured him and got 2 Valakuts off the top, he could still get the other 2 Valakuts if he's got 4, and that would be enough to kill me with 5 lands in play. Right, that was 5. Did he sacrifice 1, 2, 3, 4? No, it was 6, I guess. So that's plenty of damage. Okay, good game. Now, I would be tempted to run Unmoored Ego in a deck like this if there's more Scapeshift and more Tron going around, because I think that's a pretty strong card against them. That would be a situation right there where I could have played Unmoored Ego and basically just shut his deck down entirely, because I don't know what he does after that. He beats me down with Steve's, or, I mean, once again, there's the Baneslayer Angel, right? So that's a possibility, but I do have the answers to that. Wow, that was just an unfortunate turn, that Prismatic Omen onto. Alright, I think I would like to play first, yeah. Oh my god. So here's what happens when you run Field of Ruin in a 3-color deck. Your deck's like, you shouldn't do that. And it gives you 3 in your opening hand and nothing else. And this hand looks really good, except for there's no lands, and I got a lot of Terminates in it, which suck. Okay, this kind of blows, but we're going to go with it anyway. Oh my lord. Alright, well, here's the thing. We got to not fetch. Oh man. This sucks. We need that land, right? We can't risk not drawing land. Oh god, it's so hard to do because it's just a bad one at that. But we gotta draw it because we need to get this Search for Azcanta into play stat. Now, do I grab blue-black so that I can potentially play this Tasigur at some point? I think yes, because I'm not going to be bolting anytime soon. So we can grab blue-black, play this puppy. Now, turn 2, I'll have 2 cards in my graveyard and 2 lands in play. Turn 3, I could feasibly get the Tasigur out. Especially if I'm able to find another land, I can Valakut or I can field the Valakut. Now, if I had Surgical, I wonder if I'd bring Surgical in for this type of situation. Would you? I'd probably bring it in. Yeah, I probably would. I think I would, because there's stuff that I can still potentially see cutting. Blood Crypt in your graveyard. No, I kind of need it. Ugh, this is going to involve shocking myself again. Do I even care about the Valakut at this point? Maybe I want to just bolt him. No, I'm going to draw it. And I'm going to play it. I could kill the Valakut. And bolt him. I think that's it. That keeps me pretty far from Cryptic Command mana. But it's not the end of the world. Steve. Alright, there's search for Azcanta. Or search for tomorrow, excuse me. Yeah, I think I do this. I don't know. This isn't looking great. 5 cards in his hand. Bolt puts more in my graveyard for my Tasigur. Well, I'm going to definitely want to play that Bolt. Hopefully I get something junky on top. Yeah, that's junky. Alright. Well, we've done a lot of damage to ourselves. Gonna risk some pretty big blowouts. I don't think I can put that into play untapped at this point. We're going to go ahead and get rid of everything about the Bolt. And Watery Grave. So, Cryptic Command is good in your graveyard when you have 4 blue sources. That's a lot to ask. We're 2 blue sources away from that. Now, Search for Azcanta is a potential blue source in like 6 turns. Alright, so the fact that he did that now makes me think that there might be a Wargate for 2 coming up. Nope, okay. What's this? Supreme Verdict, maybe? He doesn't have 2 white sources. Wargate for 0. Okay, alright, so we have seen 2 Valakuts. Vendilion Clique. No, I definitely want to draw that. That's awesome. We got a chance. Let's see. So we get in there for 4. We can click him at his upkeep. Or his draw step, I should say. Let's just hope there aren't duplicates. There always are duplicates, by the way. Okay. Cryptic Command. Counterattack your spell, draw a card. We did not bounce my Tasigur. Must be feeling pretty good about himself then. Ugh. That's disturbing. Ow! No, don't do that! Oh, yeah, this one's over. This one is so over. At least he had to deal 1 damage to himself to, to kill my Tasigur. Three cards in hand. He's got to search for Azcanta, or search for tomorrow coming up. Yeah, you can go away. Oh, it figures, doesn't it? Alright, well, we're going to deal 5 to him in the next few turns. Probably not. Probably my Snapcaster is going to die to a land activation. I'm taking 3 here. I don't feel terribly bad about this. Scapeshift is notoriously a bad matchup for our deck. And this was just an unfortunate Mull to 5 situation. I think that we really could stand a chance in this game 3 if not for the deck just slapping us in the face with those Field of Runes and then no lands afterwards. It was just 2 completely unkeepable hands. It wasn't even like, could it be done? No. Alright, here it comes. Wargate. Alright, there's another Valkout. Ouch. Taking 6. And he could only have another land in his hand. Yeah, that's what it takes. Alright. There it was. Game 1. Already ruined the hopes for a 5-0. I apologize for that, but you know what? Field of Ruin. No, I'm just kidding. It's completely not Field of Ruin's fault. Definitely worth having Field of Ruin in the deck, but ouch. Ouch. That hurt.